Okay, welcome to the May 7th regular meeting of the town of Neepawa. First order of business is the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, be it resolved that we approve the regular meeting of the agenda for May 7th, 2024, moved by Councillor Kostenchuk, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, everyone should have read their minutes. Be it resolved that we hereby approve the minutes of the regular meeting and the public meeting held April 16th, 2024, and the special meeting held April 29th, 24 as circulated. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We've got enough time here for probably one council report. Anybody would like to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm reporting on behalf of Councillor Sisley and Councillor Pottinger. Only Councillor Sisley is actually at the meeting, but she's on video or audio there, so I'll do the report. The job fair had 20 businesses and post-secondary organizations set up at the Legion on April 25th. The event was attended by 64 job seekers with at least 12 hires from resulting from the event. Thank you to Neepawa Settlement and Westlake Employment for their partnership on another successful job fair. There are no applications currently for the storefront improvement program yet this year. Neepawa developed this program to assist businesses located within the town of Neepawa. The program is managed and administered by the Economic Development Office and provides funding for up to 50% of the eligible costs to a maximum of $5,000 per commercial property. The incentive is a reimbursement program and will be paid out upon the completion of the project after all criteria are met. Examples of things that can be updated include the exterior painting, lighting, windows, exterior doors, signage, and awning. So if anybody out there is thinking of a project, this spring, this summer, or even this fall, maybe speak to the Economic Development Officer, and actually Marilyn's here who gave this report rather than me. We welcome applications to this program, so that's it.
Okay. Anyone else? One short one.
I'll need a little more time.
Okay, well, I'll just toss out there. April 19th, met with the Provincial Municipal Justice Advisory Committee for a regular meeting. Some of the main topics were the officer worn body cameras, the RCMP contract review, and the new CSO Community Safety Officer program. And other than that, just several other regular board meetings. Okay, at this point, we'll look at moving into our public hearing and variation application. So be it resolved that we do now open this public hearing at 7:05 to hear representation to variation application 012024 of Marvin and Divine Peely, respecting lots B and C, Plan 57056 at 700 Park Lake Drive. Moved by Councillor Nadeau, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, Jeff, are you speaking to this?
Yeah, so this is application V01-2024-N. The owner of the applicant is Marvin and Divine Peely. The proposal, it's a variation, and there's two parts. Number one is to reduce the required site width for proposed lot 1 from the required 150 feet to the proposed 102.69 feet. And number 2 is to reduce the required site width for proposed lot 2 from the required 150 feet to the proposed 85.69 feet. And this is both within the RR2 residential rural zone. And it is affecting 700 Park Lake Drive, specifically lots B and C, Plan 57056. And the reason in support of this application is to satisfy the subdivision requirements to sever a 3.85 acre parcel from this noted property. Mostly the site width is because of the access is on the turning bulb there. So.
Okay, any questions?
Do you have the size of each of the new parcels?
I do.
2.85 was one, correct?
Yeah. And the other one?
Find the application here.
That's in the subdivision file, Jeff.
Yeah, I got that here. Ooh, that's small. So lot 1, which will be the northern lot, would be 5.39 acres, and proposal is lot 2, which is be, I guess, more southern, and that's the 3.85 acre parcel.
Thank you.
I got a map there, if anybody wants to see it, this is.
Yeah, I think we all reviewed that.
Yes.
Thanks, Jeff. And so understanding there would be 2 separate fields, one on each property.
Correct, that was one of the requirements in the subdivision as well, that they both have approved waste management systems, yes. Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone else here speaking for or against? Mr. DeGroot, did you want to come forward?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Worship, members of the Variation Board. My name is Adrian DeGroot, and I represent our family, who is the present owners of property. The concern that I have is not necessarily speaking in favor or against. It's the same concern that I expressed to the Planning District Board a number of years ago when the plan of subdivision to subdivide the entire parcels of land into a number of different lots. One of the lots being this particular one, and some of the other ones which are still either for sale or to be sold. The concern that I have is that the service, and I want this for the record, and it's not necessarily to sway the Variation Board as to their decision at the end of the day, but I wanted to make sure that it's part of the record of concern that as property owners that have Manitoba Hydro lines which services that particular subdivision at this present time. Not only does it service the subdivision, also it services the public property known as the Bird Sanctuary or Rotary Park area. I brought this to the attention of Manitoba Hydro over a number of times, and also as part of the record of the subdivision, that there is no grant of easement to our property, private property, by Manitoba Hydro. Consequently, for any service upgrades, repairs, things like that, there is no grant of easement. I have brought this to the attention of Manitoba Hydro in a bit of a, not necessarily in a legal sense, but bring it to their attention that something like this is required. The answer I got a couple of times, well, you bought it that way, so you must have agreed to it. Fine, that's okay. Maybe you grandfather some of these things in. However, we own property that had a similar situation for almost 37 years. 37 years. Finally, Manitoba Hydro came to ourselves as property owners to develop a legal document called a grant of easement. Reference number 001464, signed by the Vice President of Operations for Manitoba Hydro, and it's a legal document which describes the grant of easement onto the property to maintain have access to a hydro pole. So currently we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hydro poles sitting on our property servicing this particular subdivision. So if the prospective owners, I understand what they're doing. I met with Mr. Braun regarding this particular application. I respect what they're trying to do with family, and which is great. However, if they wanted to upgrade the line, they need a grant of easement. I thought I had them by the short ones. When we had the flood in 2020, and there was significant erosion on one of the poles. Whether it was by chance or by design, the pole was replaced when we were on vacation. I questioned the hydro as to what gave them the right to go onto the property to stabilize that pole. Well, they talked to the person that leased the hay cutting. I said, that person does not have the legal authority to speak on our behalf. He leases the property to cut hay, to keep it from, keep it clean, and also fire hazards and, things like that for adjacent property, and that's why it's leased. It's not leased because we need the $460 odd, but it's leased because it keeps it clean for Park Lake Road. So therefore, I wanted to bring the board attention to this potential issue and potential problem. Many of you know that we are in the final stages of owning that property. I have contacted the brokerage and the legal authority to make sure that, this could be their potential problem as landowners as well. They have shared their vision for that property. It's consistent with ours to keep it in a natural state as much as possible, even to the tree planting program, which I hear is close to happening. And, so it might be frivolous in a sense, but it's not when you start putting three-phase lines in and you start putting in and servicing a number of potential lots on that side of the headwaters to the White Mud River. So although I understand it's not within the authority of the variation board to act in favor or not in favor of this particular situation. However, I think there likely is other properties within our community, within your jurisdiction, that may have similar situations. Because at one time, Manitoba Hydro had the vision of line of sight. Follow the nose, and that's where the line goes, irrespective of property or anything else. And then some of you might have had experience with that. That was the position, and also legally they do not have that authority without grant of easement. I have not taken this to Manitoba Hydro, however, there likely will be a day that this will become an issue for variation, for plans of subdivision, of things like that, and they'll make you pay to take it down. They put it up, but they'll make you pay, whether it's the taxpayers or individuals, to take it down. Pretty fair, isn't it? But it's not. You know, so I wanted to make sure that it is part of that record, that I've taken objection to it, and I still have the legal documents. I found them in my files, and so it's not just, oh, well, that's the way it is, right? But that's not quite the way it is. It is, you know, a legal formality for them, because in this particular case, the lines in this one was shared, which this one could be done as well, between Manitoba Hydro, MTS, and Shaw Cable. They share the lines, right? Rather than trenching and, you know, things like that. But any upgrades, they did have the courtesy, although it was a third party that came and tested when they were doing integrity tests on the poles, right? And they had the courtesy that the third party who was doing that core testing asked me if it was okay if they did that. I said, you know, that's no problem whatsoever. But that was of courtesy and safety. Okay? Thank you for...
Okay. Any questions? One question I would have is, would this be similar? I don't have a lot of knowledge on these easements. Would this be similar when you got, because the natural gas is Manitoba Hydro as well, right? So when the natural gas went down to you, was it just for yourself, or is there a shared group there?
Originally, there's a caveat. There's a caveat that was put on for that service, so it went down through co-op property to a header. It was to be shared by 3 homes. At that time, only 1 home ended up going into that agreement. And when we applied for ours, you were informed in your role as your corporate entity, was asked to, is it okay to come across maybe 5 feet of your property from where the service was to our property. There is a caveat on our property for water, for town water and road access to another property that is adjacent to ours. So that is a caveat that we have. We also have a caveat, which we used a number of years ago for development purposes for water services. Right? Also a caveat for that road from Dominion Road to our property with the owner of the property, the right of access. That is registered to our property, to Mr. Taylor's property, and to Mr. Burton's property.
Okay.
All of those things are legal documents that are part of the sale and going forward. No different than this.
But just for record, in this with the variation application, you are not opposed to the variation.
I'm not opposed to the variation.
Okay.
I am concerned.
Okay, fair enough.
Good. Okay, thank you very much.
Right on.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
No questions?
The torch with the.
Yeah, where were the targets?
I got the whole evening.
Okay, if there's no other questions, then be it resolved that we do now adjourn the public hearing at 7:20. Moved by Councillor Glassman, seconded by Councillor Legault. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so moving back into our regular meeting. Council reports, any other councilor? Councilor Nicole.
You know, it's been a busy couple weeks since our last meeting, just to update the rest of council on some of the things. Way back in April 17th, our meeting was on the 16th, our last one. Had a Westlake employment meeting, and we were, making sure that the job fair was going to work out really well, and happy to note that it did, of course, as we already heard. Also on April 17th, a WMRL library meeting. Some interesting things to share with council. We discussed what they're finishing up right now in Brandon. They obtained a grant in order to do the oral histories. Recording elders, recording some of the historians in the community of Brandon in order to take that piece of history and preserve it. And it's something that would be neat to see here in Neepawa done also. And I know we do a good job with a lot of our history, and we have a lot of groups in our community that do look after that, but that's something that maybe our library could look at doing. That brings me to April 23rd. We had a local area library committee meeting, and we were talking that we would be really interested in pursuing something like that. With NACTV also being in our community, they also help do this in a different way, but we can work symbiotically with each, and I think we can do some really good things to help preserve some of that history. And we think of library sometimes as only books, and now we're embracing new technologies where we can have everyone's oral histories turned into a transcript, which makes certain things that you're looking for easy to find, and sometimes just preserving some of those good memories of Neepawa as we move forward. April 24th, I was able to make it to the Habitat for Humanity presentation. It was really well attended and it went really well, so that's really nice to see. The job fair was really a good thing too. It was nice to see how it continues to grow. I've been able to share something really exciting with Neepawa. Starting on May 13th, we're going to have a new vet starting in Neepawa. So that's really exciting for us to have 2 full-time veterinarians in our community. On May 6th, just yesterday, we had a Rossburn Subdivision Trail Association meeting, and we've got a few things to report back there. Just a reminder to users of our trail that you must yield to pedestrians. So if you're on an electric scooter, there's a little gray area there where you're not a motorized vehicle, but you can go on there with a scooter. However, you have to yield to pedestrians. Same thing if you're a skidoo. The Manitoba Trails Day is coming up June 1st. The Minister of Environment and Climate will be there, Tracy Schmidt. Also, the MLA, Greg Nesbitt, will be there. It'll be at the Erickson Water Tower. It's the new rest stop area where there's going to be a beautiful barbecue. There's going to be greetings and cake. And I'll just show that to the camera for a second, just that little poster here. If you went on the RSTA Trails group, you can see the invitation. Everyone's invited. Everyone's walking from the Storybook Trail. It's about 4.5 kilometers in Erickson. That's at the Viking boat. It starts there. You can do a 4.5 kilometer walk to the water tower, which will give you access to the barbecue and all the special presentations. And really, it's just about celebrating this wonderful trail we have that goes right across Canada. And this is our little section here. The other thing I wanted to note too was October 26th is it's going to be our new Trails Talk Day. So that's something to keep on your calendar. And lots of exciting things happening all around, so thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor McMichael. Any other reports? Councillor Gerard.
Yes, April 25th, the county courthouse, we had our meeting. This was a follow-up meeting to typically what would have been our annual meeting on April 25th. We came together to pass our budget, and at that time, it became an interim budget. What we're seeing is that current partners within the facility Just looking to modernize how the funding works within the facility, so we're going to be working through that going forward. We've reached out to under the County Courthouse Act. It is managed by our Minister of Rural Area, which would be Minister Bushy, and he can oversee that. And what we're looking to do is we're looking just to see how those costs of the operation of that county courthouse are spread amongst the 3 partners. So what we have done, and you will have noticed, as for those of you that have looked through the financial plan and that we've actually passed an interim check amount for our rents going forward rather than our normal fees, is because that is largely what's going to be happening going forward. So there's some changes coming forward at the county courthouse, but nothing is closed as of yet. So yeah, that's what I can update on that one.
Thank you, Councillor Gerard. Anyone else? Seeing none, Manager of Operations, Dean.
Thank you, Aaron. So, projects, a whole bunch of them are kind of still ongoing. We'll start with the wastewater treatment plant. The project's ongoing, it's starting to speed up again, as we can hopefully start getting the membrane material inside the giant MBDR tank, and start growing meat in there, because we need a little warmer weather to grow those little bugs, so it starts functioning as a proper sewage treatment plant. So like I said, those days, as what temperature goes up, that's all good news for us. As far as phase 1 of the water expansion project leading up to the hospital, we have potable water that passed the pressure test, so that main is live now. We met with the consultants, the Water Services Board, and the contractor this week. We went over the deficiencies and still pointed out and did a site tour actually of all the deficiencies, all the open cuts, any remediation work that has to happen, and corrective actions, anything that we didn't like, the contractor consultant didn't like. So they have their to-do list. We'll be following up with that, and there's definitely a level of expectation that they have to correct anything that's still withheld, because there's still a holdback on their funds. Summer staff started this week. They rolled in on Monday, and then as they become more available, because some of them are a lot of problems coming in, they'll just gradually be intermingled into with our regular staff at the cemetery and parks, and then receive appropriate training. We had a fun little visit from one of our consultants on Thursday, or what is that, Monday? Yes, yesterday. It's been a busy week already. They're the ones that provide us some active transportation information. So we have the opportunity to go through that, and we actually took the time to go and look around the community at where some of these pathways would be, so it really will help with the decisions. One, like you get to see if we're impacting a driveway, how are we impacting the boulevard, are we gonna have to turn the street to one-way parking, or do we still maintain two-direction traffic on there? So we're trying to make all the functionalities of this plan work. So they'll probably start developing a few proposals for us on how and what phases we want to proceed with. Coming up in fall, so this would be like a budget 25 item. But it was really nice to physically go out there and see everything and just see how we can make it work. And residents may wonder why the heck we're worried about bikes and people walking, but if we've seen the state of our roads, the more people we have walking and riding a bicycle and using active transportation opposed to a vehicle, it's really going to spread out the life of our roads. And then speaking of roads, I've been doing as much due diligence trying to figure out how the heck to patch them and fix them and do whatever we can there. So we've been in talk with staff, contractors, different equipment suppliers. So we're going through just a few different strategies. We're looking at different drainage projects and how to correct what's flowing down these streets to stop the damage that's being incurred to them. So there's a heck of a lot of work that's going into that. So hopefully I can provide some results here.
Great. Any questions on things?
Yes, I got actually just a couple. Saw a post on our town Facebook page that said the 6th of May we have construction crews doing some patching. That's follow-up from last year's work, correct?
That's follow-up, and then we also had some utility corrections, like we had some water breaks that occurred and some open cuts, and then we've had like couple patches on Mountain Avenue we're gonna correct, so some of your utility cuts, others were just full failure patches, so we hurried as quick as we can, try to get those on the docket. We'll compile another list of patches which will be tendered out as supplementary work after this.
Okay.
So this is just like I said, follow-up work, and then we threw a few add-ins on them real quick. They were priority patches.
Great.
So we haven't forgotten about some of the ugly.
Mhm.
We're just trying to get some priorities done real quick.
How long do you think they're gonna be in this go-around?
Oh, man, I really hope they roll a paver in here next week.
Okay.
If weather is really good to them,
Okay.
because they've done some stripping, and as long as they can stay ahead of the asphalt crew, and the base crew, prep crew can get everything ready for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, so hopefully, really hoping, I'll keep calling them and being annoying, that next week or following week can see some asphalt.
I know we're counting on you for that. Then the follow-up, actually, you touched on was with the active transport. With Park Lake and a lot of that project done, when will we see some of the paths that have started as far as they get finished off with some graveling and that on some of those paths?
So I've already booked contractors to get in there
Okay,
as soon as weather cooperates with us.
okay,
And we were actually, we hadn't looked at all those locations as well with our consultants here.
okay,
So yeah, it's kind of weather pending right now.
okay. So tentatively, would it be a June, July-ish thing we'd be looking at, or?
I'm hoping May-ish, because
Okay.
we have staff starting a water main renewal tomorrow.
Okay,
There's scheduled to start provided there's no rain. But yeah, we're mobilizing equipment. We're starting staff to really give it real quick as hard as we can on this item. Because like I said, I want them to hurry on these water project renewals. And then as we have staff maybe away, so June, July, August, I want them on street works, patching, repairing, doing as much as they can to make these streets back to a passable state.
revive them a little bit.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, if there's no more questions, then we'll move on to correspondence, Cody.
I only have the one thing, and it's about a special occasion. Join us in celebrating Don Walmsley's retirement and his years of dedication and service to Neepawa and Area Settlement Services. There will be a come and go held on Thursday, May 16th from 2 to 4 at the Settlement Services office at 342 Mountain Avenue, second floor. It's the old co-op building. Come enjoy cake and refreshments while you share your good wishes to Dawn and meet the new executive director. Mark calendars.
Yeah, but well-deserved retirement. Don has sure done a lot of good for the area. All right, finance. You all have received your month of March. So be it resolved that we approve the financial statement for the month ended March 2024, moved by Councilor Nadeau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we have some accounts to pay. Be it resolved that we approve the accounts for April 2024 totaling $2,251,557.84 as reviewed, representing checks 2024-00461 to 2024-00642, but excluding 2024-00553 and 2024-00608. Moved by Councilor Kostenchuk, seconded by Councilor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Councilor Gerard and myself will remove ourselves for conflict.
Be it resolved that we approve check 2024-00553 and 2024-00608 for April 2024 to Home Hardware and Neepawa Gladstone Co-op totaling $8,286.21. Moved by Councilor Kozaczek, seconded by Councilor Nadeau. All those in favor, carried.
I assume Councilor Sisley voted just because we need a quorum.
You're voting every time, yes?
She did.
Okay, good. Just checking.
Yep. There's her hand.
Unfinished business? No, new business, I guess. Variation, Colleen?
Jeff, is there anything more you would like to add? This would be the public hearing we have set up.
All right, great.
Nothing, no, they've been circulated as the planning act, and other than Mr. DeGroot, they would receive no concerns or against.
Okay, any other questions on that? If not, be it resolved that we approve the variation application Z01 2024 of Marvin and Divine Feely respecting lots B and C, Plan 57056 at 700 Park Lake Drive to satisfy subdivision 4437238584 by allowing the following. Reduce the side width for the proposed lot from the required 150 feet to the proposed 102.69 feet within R2 rural residential zone, and reduce the side width for the proposed lot 2 from a required 150 feet to the proposed 85.89 feet within the R2 rural residential zone. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Colleen?
This next one is just for the Philippine Heritage Parade. As you know, when we do street closures, we need a resolution of council. So this will be for Saturday, June 15th at 1 o'clock until the parade ends, and basically from the stretch of property from the distance from Riverbend to Yellowstone, so, and downtown.
Okay, everybody understands that annual event. Be it resolved, in order to facilitate the 2024 Filipino Heritage Parade scheduled for Saturday, June 15th at 1 o'clock, we hereby authorize the closure of that part of Mountain Avenue from the Yellowhead Center to Hamilton Street, and that part of Hamilton Street from Mountain Avenue east to Riverbend Park. These portions of street to remain closed until the end of the parade. Moved by Councillor Kostanchuk, seconded by Councillor Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Swimming pool deck.
So more recently, and this was to be done last year, we didn't get to it, we did zero entry to the pool. It helps us with our accessibility and trying to meet the legislation. When we completed though that zero entry to the pool, council has a picture on AllNet there that they can look at. We found there was like a 4-inch lip and even greater from the zero entry concrete down to the paving stones. So it clearly is not meeting accessibility legislation any longer, so what do we do? Long range planning says we were going to do the whole deck in concrete at some point in time. So we thought, well, we either raise the paving stones, add some sand, which is a big project as well, or we just bite the bullet and proceed and put the concrete down. So we did get a quote for that, $17,474 at Chisel Construction. We did ask for invitational bidding. This was the only construction company that was able to do our project and do it right away, because we all know we want to open the pool here before long. So we're asking for your support to proceed with Chisel Construction to do this project for that amount of money. However, because we know our time is extremely short, the water plant staff thinks they can free themselves up partially or wholly to help at least get the paving stones out of there, which then Chisel is very prepared to reduce that rate. So the resolution kind of speaks for that. If we can support that, that would be great.
So timing wise, like we're talking once it quits raining sort of thing?
Yeah, I think
Right
so.
away?
Yeah, when we met with the contractor on site, they were able to squeeze it into their schedule, knowing when the pool deck had to be, or pool had to be open.
Right.
So we definitely went over all the dynamics of what we had to see for slope on the concrete to ensure that it's mobility friendly, and correct a lot of items that were just on our to-do list already there. There's so many trip hazards.
Right.
And we expanded the area just to kind of go all the way up to the new slide concrete that we've already completed last year. So we're really completing a major chunk of it, so I would just leave the paving stones on the west side of the pool deck at this point left.
Right. So
And
just looking at the way that paving stone would come out, like would that new concrete be doweled into the old?
I don't think we did any doweling because it was such a large slab. We were happy.
Okay.
But we'll probably confirm that with the contractors. Listen, that was the discussion last year. I can't remember what the conclusion it was.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, motion reads, be it resolved that we accept the proposal of Chisel Construction to replace the pool deck paver stones with concrete for an amount of $17,474.63. Be it further resolved that in order to ensure the pool deck is ready in time to open the pool, town staff are prepared to assist Chisel with the removal of paving stones, which the contractor agrees to credit against the overall project cost. Moved by Councillor Costenchuk, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Bylaws, Colleen?
So this next bylaw is second and third reading to be able to levy the taxes for 2024. Exciting day in law.
Okay, resolution, be it resolved that bylaw number 3230-24 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to levy taxes for the year 2024 to provide for a tax due date and to provide for late payment penalties to be now read for the second time. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Third reading, this will be documented to be it resolved that the bylaw number 3230-24 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to levy taxes for the year 2024 to provide for a due date and to provide for late payment penalties be now read for the third time and passed. Moved by Councillor Costenchuk, seconded by Councillor Nadeau. All in favor? And Councillor Sisley?
Yes.
All in favor? Okay. Any against? Moved, passed. Colleen?
So at the previous meeting, we requested permission of council to proceed in asking the Community Regional Planning Office to develop a bylaw to amend the town zone bylaw 3184-18. This is respecting Lot 3, Block 1, Plan 33580, and Lots 5 and 6, Plan 65638 in the town of Neepawa. And it's to rezone them from residential single unit to residential 2 unit. And put this into perspective for everybody that's sitting here and those watching. This is the piece of property that is currently undeveloped along Crocus, running north-south. On the south end, you're going to see duplexes, and on the north end, you're going to see duplexes. So this is a section in between those that is currently undeveloped, so that the applicant and the developer can actually create further duplex units on that property. So this is first reading. It will go into the province for circulation amongst all the departments for their comments as well, and of course it will come back to us for further processing technically under public hearings.
Any questions? Be it resolved that bylaw number 3229-24 being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to amend the town of Neepawa zoning bylaw number 3184-18 with the rezoning of Lot 3, Block 1, Plan 33580, and Lots 5 and 6, Plan 65638, from RS residential single unit zone to RT residential 2-unit zone be now read for the first time. Moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Kostenchuk. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, any other business before we adjourn?
No, we're not, we have to go back and count.
Oh, we have to go
We're
back.
done the meeting.
We're formally done the meeting, so we will wish our deputy mayor, Mr. Barrett, happy birthday, and we'll continue on with our meeting. Thank you.